Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties, Chapter 25.
It really does sound almost medieval, right?
Yeah.
But what we're actually seeing here is an incredibly sophisticated system. It's about institutional risk management, really.
Risk management for the state, you mean?
Exactly. Qin, he's a celebrated hero, no doubt, but in this system, he's a small cog, a very small cog in a very large machine. And his boss, Prefect Liu, he is, let's be blunt, fundamentally uninterested in actual justice.
Okay.
He's motivated by basically one thing, plugging this huge financial hole that threatens to completely sink his career.
Right, okay. That makes sense. We've got these sources detailing how Qin's friends, who were fiercely loyal, by the way.
Incredibly loyal.
Yeah, a mix of heroes themselves and some pretty well-connected schemers. They orchestrated this desperate, two-pronged rescue mission.
Li Xuansui and Chai Sicheng.
Two friends, two plans.
Right. And they went to two very different kinds of officials, one military, one civil. And each negotiation, well, it revealed a different facet of how power actually worked in the Sui dynasty. We're basically uncovering the real itemized price of freedom when you get caught in that bureaucratic machinery.
Okay, let's start at the lowest point then. What exactly were the charges they were using to justify, well, torturing Qin?
Well, the charges were, let's just say, engineered. They were engineered by the prefect to shift the blame away from himself and justify seizing assets. The source states Qin was accused of collusion, specifically accepting highwaymen's regular fees, that's Xiang Machangli, and even sharing the loot, Yang Dao Fenzang.
Wow. So collaborating with the robbers he failed to catch?
Pretty much. The prefect was essentially claiming that Qin's recent promotion to flag bearer wasn't earned. It was actually, supposedly, a reward for corruption.
That seems like a huge leap, from failing to catch thieves to actively working with them. Why was Prefect Liu so desperate to paint him as a villain?
Because the real problem wasn't crime, it was accounting.
Accounting?
Yeah, the bandits had stolen 3,000 liang of silver. Massive amount. And in the Sudi system, when state assets were stolen on your watch, the local prefecture, meaning the prefect himself, was held personally liable to replace the funds.
Whoa, personally liable.
Personally liable. If those funds weren't recovered, Prefect Liu was on the hook for 3,000 liang.
Okay, so Prefect Liu wasn't fighting crime. He was basically fighting an incomplete financial record, a huge hole in his budget.
Absolutely, that's the key. Liu publicly claimed, to have a clean reputation like water, all very noble sounding.
Right.
But his decisions, driven by raw fear, he knew that this massive 3,000 liang loss would result in what they called an an incomplete case, and that would absolutely destroy his performance review.
The coaching.
Exactly, the couching. In the civil service, that review was everything. If you failed it, your career was just over, done. Didn't matter what else you'd achieved. So for Liu, Qin Shubao's life, his reputation, it was frankly less important than his own performance metrics.
That's terrifying. Just how career preservation became literally a matter of life and death for the people underneath him.
Yep.
How did Liu actually pressure Qin? Did he threaten him directly?
He used this system itself. Distance and paperwork. Those were his weapons. Liu was getting ready to ship Qin, along with over 50 other agents involved in the case, hundreds of miles away.
To ship them where?
To the East Capital for resolution, but everyone knew what that meant.
Sounds ominous.
Oh, it was. The sources are really clear about this. They described the journey in the legal process waiting for them there as having 10 deaths, 1 life.
10 deaths, 1 life. So almost zero chance of coming back.
Pretty much. Once you were sent up to the capital for review, you were completely at the mercy of the central government's massive impersonal legal machine. Liu's move, it wasn't about finding justice at all. It was an ultimatum. Pay up the 3,000 liang, or face this bureaucratic gauntlet you almost certainly won't survive.
Okay, that makes the stakes crystal clear. So the friends must have realized pretty quickly that just pleading innocence was a total dead end.
Completely useless.
They had to somehow neutralize Liu's power over Qin. So how did they pivot? How did they go from, legal defense to basically strategic manipulation?
Well, they realized they needed a two-pronged approach. Something that attacked the system from the outside using its own rules against it. So Li Xuansui, one of the friends, he was tasked with the military solution, the direct approach.
The military solution. Right. He went to see Commander Lai.
That's right, Commander Lai.
And Lai, being a military man, he apparently offered what the source calls a refreshing attitude compared to Prefect Liu. Why was he so much more willing to help out?
Well, because Commander Lai wasn't worried about financial liabilities like Liu was. He had a completely different problem, personnel deficiencies.
Not enough soldiers.
Exactly. Li Xuansui approached him cleverly under the guise of arranging a birthday visit for Qin's mother. That gave Lai some political cover for the meeting, you see.
Ah, smart.
And Lai immediately saw an opportunity. Because he had this urgent government directive breathing down his neck. He had 500 soldiers working on this big river project, the Hegong.
Okay.
And they'd suffered heavy losses. People had died. He needed capable replacements, and he needed them immediately.
So his self-interest wasn't money, it was manpower. Organizational need.
Precisely. Lai didn't really care about Qin's civil charges in Licheng Prefecture. He needed a good leader, someone competent, so he acted decisively, just like that.
What did he do?
He simply appointed Qin Shubao as a general, a jangling, in his army. And then he issued an urgent deployment document, a Jinjigongwu.
An urgent deployment document.
Right. And this document, because it was military and urgent, instantly superseded the civil prefect's jurisdiction. It literally pulled Qin out of Lu's clutches and straight into the military hierarchy.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. It was rapid, it was clean, it was efficient, and it worked entirely because it served Commander Lai's urgent operational needs. Problem solved from Lai's perspective.
And the contrast with Liu is even sharper when you look at Lai's parting gesture.
Yeah.
He didn't just take Qin.
No, exactly. He actually praised Qin's ability, recognized his reputation, and then he gave Li Xuansui several hundred liang of silver for travel expenses for Qin's mother, ostensibly.
He gave them money
Yeah.
after Liu was trying to extort thousands.
Right. It wasn't just a clean extraction. It was actually generous, which really underscores the difference between how these two branches of government operated, or at least how these two officials did.
So the military path was, like you said, transactional. Lai got a general he needed, Qin got his freedom.
Yep. Whereas the civil path, as we're about to see, that was purely extractive, all about taking.
Okay, let's turn to that messy route then. Path 2. The civil negotiation. This was led by Chai Si-chang, who had to go head-to-head with Prefect Liu.
Right. Now, Chai Si-chang had some leverage, family leverage, which was huge back then. He was the son of Prefect Liu's old teacher and mentor.
His zuozu.
Exactly, his zuozu. That relationship carried enormous weight. So you'd think maybe Liu would immediately cave to this pressure, right? Show some respect.
Yeah, you would think. But no.
No. Liu made the negotiation incredibly difficult. Initially, he only offered to delay the deadlines, Quanta Jisian, basically just pushing the paperwork around, hoping the problem might magically solve itself, rather than actually confronting the missing money issue head on.
So even that strong political connection only bought them a little bit of time, not a real solution. How did Chai finally break through Liu's, his resistance?
Chai realized, eventually, that Liu's only true vulnerability, his Achilles heel, was the looming threat of that bad performance review, the coaching.
Back to the career anxiety.
Always back to that.
Ugh.
If the case stayed incomplete because the silver was missing, Liu's career was toast. So the breakthrough came when Liu finally, probably very reluctantly, agreed to stop the transfer. Not just of 10, but of all 50-plus agents to the capital.
Okay, that's huge, but there had to be a catch.
Oh, there was a big catch. Liu would stop the transfer only if the agents collectively paid the full 3,000 liang of stolen silver back to the state.
What? He wanted the agents, the victims of this whole bureaucratic mess, to pay the state's loss.
Exactly. It shifts the enormous financial liability immediately from the prefect's official ledger straight into the agent's personal pockets.
Unbelievable.
And to make absolutely sure this liability shift was official, irreversible, Liu demanded that Qin Shubao himself sign a formal acknowledgement. It was called a renswang. Basically, a document agreeing to distribute the costs and collect the 3,000 liang compensation from the entire group of agents.
So Liu gets his books balanced, his signature is clean, his career is safe.
Yeah.
And the agents basically become debt collectors for the state's loss, responsible for paying off something they didn't even do.
You got it. Liu washes his hands of the problem entirely.
But Liu wasn't satisfied with just protecting his Cao Cheng, his review, was he? This is where the price of influence really turns into, pure personal corruption.
Yes, this is the really galling part. Once the 3,000 liang state liability was secured, contractually locked down with the renswang, Liu revealed his personal fee.
A bribe.
Essentially, yes. He demanded a separate, thin token of respect, that's bojing of 500 liang, specifically for Chai Si-chang.
Oh.
And he even explicitly insisted Chai must not relax on collecting that full 500 liang. No discounts on the bribe.
That's just astounding.
Yeah.
So the total cost of freedom, not just for Qin Shubao, but for all 50 agents, wasn't 3,000 liang after all.
No.
It was 3,500 liang.
To prevent that fatal transfer to the capital.
Now, despite this crushing financial burden, 3,500 liang. The friend's loyalty is immediate, right? They don't even question the price tag.
It's remarkable. They don't hesitate. Sheng Youjin and Yujinda, two other famous heroes in the group, they immediately step forward. They basically say, look, it was our collective failure. We have to compensate. They insisted they'd pool whatever resources they had to cover the whole debt.
3,500 liang is a fortune. Where did they suddenly find that kind of cash?
Well, this is where we get a really great narrative turn. A bit of an unexpected twist. Chai Sichang, the negotiator. He revealed something amazing. He was actually holding a hidden stash of silver.
His own money.
No! Get this. Silver that belonged to Qin Shubao himself.
Wait. The hero's rescue was funded by the hero's own money. That he didn't even know about. That's almost too perfect, like something out of a novel.
It really is. And it connects their past actions directly to their present crisis. Perfectly. This money, it wasn't Qin's salary or anything like that. It was actually payment for an entirely unrelated heroic act Qin had performed some time before.
What did he do?
He had saved Chai's father-in-law's life during an ambush at a place called Zishugang.
Wow.
The payment for that rescue had been sort of deferred, and Chai had been holding on to it for Qin. Now, faced with this crisis, they were forced to use the reward from his past good deed to essentially buy his freedom from this current institutional failure and corruption.
It's kind of a tragic cycle then, isn't it? Qin's past heroism created the very fund that the present bureaucracy immediately consumed just to cover its own failures.
Exactly. It's the ultimate commentary on just how broken or perhaps self-serving the system could be. The Friends agreed to use this money to cover the compensation. The failures and successes within the Sui bureaucracy were so tangled up that a good deed done by one man years ago could be leveraged today just to protect the career of an entirely unrelated, frankly cowardly official like Liu. 53 families, their fate, their livelihoods depend entirely on this money.
All right, so let's talk escape. Part 1. The official political way out. It starts kind of frantically, doesn't it? Fan Jianwei rushes in.
Yeah, Fan Shenwei arrives, confirms the worst, confirms the magistrate's demands.
But then, almost right away, the cavalry arrives. Metaphorically speaking at first.
Sort of, yeah. Li Shuangsui shows up. But he's not carrying silver. He's carrying something arguably more powerful in this situation. Bureaucratic clout. He's got a PWEN. It's a formal official dispatch. An order.
Paperwork. The ultimate weapon.
In this context, maybe. Because this document, it's crucial. It comes from a higher authority, completely bypassing Magistrate Liu's local jurisdiction.
And you can tell it's serious just by who sent it, right? Not some local branch office.
No, absolutely not. This is from the Imperial Commissioner Kizu General Command Office. We're talking like a whole different level of government.
Way above Magistrate Liu's pay grade.
Definitely. And this is key for you to grasp. That centralized military power can just steamroll local civil issues like this.
So what does the order actually say?
It designates Qin Shang specifically as Vanguard Cavalry Officer, and it orders him, effective immediately, to take command of 500 cavalry troops.
500. Where are they going?
He has to report to the Grand Commissioner of River Patrol, a guy named Ma Chu, and it's urgent.
How urgent?
He has to leave in 3 days. The order is dated Day 6, September 23rd. It's immediate.
Okay, hang on. Why does a military commission suddenly make his local debts irrelevant? Is that like a known loophole?
Well, it seems to function that way, yes. When the state, especially the high-level military command, issues an urgent, dated summons like this,
The local guys have to back off.
they have to step aside, yeah. It effectively pulls him out of their reach. It's not just a job offer, it's like a political extraction disguised as a promotion.
And Fan Jianwei sees this straight away.
Instantly, he says Qin Kong can now escape this bitter door. His status changes overnight. He's not a local debtor anymore. He's an essential military officer on urgent state business.
Okay, so politically he's clear. Pulled out by a higher power. But the money problem doesn't just vanish, does it? The 3,000 liang is still owed.
Nope, that debt is still hanging there. And those 53 families are still on the hook. The political order doesn't magically pay the bill.
So how do they deal with that massive sum?
This is where the story pivots. It moves from, Bureaucratic chess to something deeper. Honor, friendship, guangxi.
Enter Chai Si-cheng.
Enter Chai Si-cheng indeed, and he makes maybe the most incredibly generous gesture in this whole section of the novel.
What does he do?
First, he flat out refuses to entertain the 500 liang favor money,
Yeah.
tells the magistrate, basically, forget it, no bribe for you.
Okay, good for him, but the 3,000 is the real issue.
Right, and Chai Si-cheng says, don't worry. He presents a letter.
A letter from who?
From his father-in-law, who just happens to be the incredibly powerful Li Yuan, also known as Tang Dong, future emperor, basically.
Okay, that carries some weight. What's the letter say? Does it mention the debt?
Li Yuan, he writes about this deep past debt of gratitude he owes to Qin Chang.
A past debt.
Yeah, he refers to some previous event, the Guanzhongzi, and says his 5 organs remember the virtue. Basically, I owe you big time from way back. He claims the 3,000 liang it's just a birthday gift for the general. Jing Shang initially refuses. He's like, hold on. She says, does a true gentleman act expecting repayment? No way.
He says he'd rather sell his own house first.
He would. He's ready to face ruin before compromising his code.
How do they get him to take the money? He needs it for the families.
Reality check time. His friends, Shan Xianchen and Fan Zhuangwei, step in. They hit him with 2 arguments he just can't ignore.
What are they?
First, this isn't about you anymore, Qin Shang. It's about the 53 families. They need this money. That's a heavy guilt trip, but effective.
And the second?
Pure logistics. Look, you have to leave in 3 days for your military post. There is literally no time for you to sell your house or arrange anything else. And how would you even return this silver to Chai Si-cheng now?
Practicalities. Okay, so he has to accept.
He has to. For the greater good, and because, well, he's trapped by circumstance, the gift has to be accepted.
But even then, the source says he's uneasy, Jin Shimbuan.
Deeply uneasy. He just can't stand feeling entirely indebted or letting others handle everything, which leads to, I think, a really telling detail about how things actually worked.
What does he do?
Okay, so Chai Si-cheng has covered the massive 3,000 liang. He's even dealt with the magistrate's personal 500 liang bribe demand, essentially. But
there are always other costs, aren't there?
Always. The unavoidable costs of just getting things done in the bureaucracy. So Qin Shang takes out 300 liang of his own money.
His own cash. After receiving 3,000.
He gives it to Fan Jianwei, specifically to cover the expected sort of administrative friction. Things like Dui Tu Wing Hao, these are like processing fees, fire loss charges from melting silver, petty corruption, travel expenses for Fan Jianwei to finalize everything.
Okay, that is fascinating. So Li Yuan's massive political influence can wipe out a 3,000 liang debt.
But it can't stop the need for petty cash to grease the wheels of the actual bureaucratic process.
The Hung Hao, the small stuff, still has to be paid. Out of pocket.
Seems like it. It suggests this pervasive, low-level transactional cost that even top-down intervention doesn't erase. It's just part of the system. You have to pay it.
So Li Yuan saves him from the catastrophe, but Qin Kuang has to use his own money to handle the day-to-day bureaucratic nuisance.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's this mix of high drama and, like, mundane expenses.
And then there's a little joke to break the tension.
Yeah, Wang Bodeng pipes up, demanding a broker's fee, Jun Jinji. Just a quick moment of humor before things move on again.
Okay, part 3. Departure. The clock's ticking. And this band of brothers, it doesn't last long, does it?
Not at all. Cheng Yaojin and Yujunda, they are out of there. They leave before dawn, 5 watches. They don't wait around.
By the rush. Qin Kuang is safe now, isn't he?
He is safe because of the military commission. They are not. They're worried about being arrested for their past activities. They need to vanish.
Right. Okay, so the next day, it's Qin Kuang's official departure. He seems to step into the commander role pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. But first, logistics. He's smart. He gets Li Xuansui to carry 3 important letters for him.
Tying up loose ends.
Exactly. A thank you note to Li Yuan, sent via Chai Si-cheng, a message to another associate, Luo Xintai, and a note for his cousin, covering his bases, socially and familially.
Then the troops arrive.
500 cavalrymen, 10 captains, 50 squad leaders. They assemble at Ying'an Temple. Chen Chang inspects the roster.
Establishing authority.
And showing generosity. Remember that 300 liang he didn't use for fees? He uses maybe 50 or 60 liang of it right there.
For what?
Rewards for the troops. Just small amounts, 3 cumin for captains, 2 for squad leaders. But it sends a message. Builds loyalty from day one. It's an investment in his new command.
And he picks out some personal guards, too.
Yeah, he selects 20 strong guys to be his personal retainers, Giording. Gives them a little extra reward, too. He's building his core team immediately, using the resources his friends helped him secure.
And we get the big departure scene, the visuals.
It's very heroic. He puts on the full uniform, wrapped hat, embroidered red sleeves, gold belt, mounts his famous yellow horse, Huang Bio.
And rides out the West Gate with his 500 troops, leaving the bitter door behind him.
Looks like it. But even as he's riding off, this newly minted imperial officer, his last concern is practical.
What is it?
He makes sure Chai Si-chang understands he must get the proper official license, the zizao, from Magistrate Liu.
Proof of payment.
Proof that the 3,000 liang debt is officially cleared. For Fan Jianwei and the families, Jing Chong might be heading off to glory, but he needs to know his friends back home are legally in the clear.
Responsible to the end. And then the network just breaks up.
Poof, gone. Chai Si-chang heads off to Fenyang. The other military guys go to Yuzhou. This intense alliance born out of crisis just dissolves as everyone goes back to their own duties, their own regions.